For me, it's one more my opponents.
But even obviously he's coming from a different discipline. Is there not a different approach there, a tactic different?
Yes,
because
just a tactic, just a training. It's enough.
He's the greatest fighter of our generation. He's beat everyone.
Yeah.
I'm bigger.
Yeah.
I'm stronger.
Can I ball for a minute? Ride on. I got this, let it roll like a night storm. Forever winning, don't you ever get in my way. Cause otherwise I'ma rise up in your face.
Breaking news. Boxing experts are split as predictions pour in for the massive Oleksandr Usyk versus Rico fight. Some pros back Usyk's elite skill and experience, while others believe Rico's power could shock the world. Fans are going crazy as the debate heats up over who will dominate this explosive heavyweight clash.
In Giza, Ukraine's Oleksandr Usyk, a three-time undisputed champion across 2 weight classes, unbeaten and a true tactical master. He's conquered everything there is in the sport. Standing opposite him, from the Netherlands, Rico Verhoeven, kickboxing's reigning king.
Joe Rogan is absolutely stunned by how Rico Verhoeven looks physically right now. Rogan says Rico is a big giant dude who is now super muscled out and looks absolutely terrifying. He says when Rico first started kickboxing, he was a long, tall, thin guy, but now he looks like a completely different animal.
Something like that, and he's a big giant dude. He's always been a big giant dude, but he's like super muscled out now. That dude's gigantic now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
terrifying.
That's gigantic. He's so much bigger than he was when he first started. When he first started kickboxing, he was this long, tall, thin guy. Because he started, like some of his early fights that I've seen.
UFC legend Kamaru Usman says this whole situation is going to become seriously problematic for Rico, and the commentator completely agrees. Usman warns that going after a boxer like Usyk is an enormous challenge that nobody has ever truly solved. Rico is stepping into completely unknown territory against the most dangerous and most unstoppable force in combat sports today.
I think it's going to become problematic for someone like Rico.
I agree. I completely agree with you. We know that it's going to be problematic, basically going after a boxer. But again, we don't know how ready he is, how prepared he is. We don't know. I'm just saying I cannot count him.
Mike Tyson steps forward and delivers the most savage compliment Rico Verhoeven has ever received in his entire career. Tyson calls Rico an absolute animal and says he is the champ and the man right now. When Iron Mike himself calls you an animal, the whole boxing world sits up and takes notice immediately.
Just a sea of killers. Rico Verhoeven, the guy who's the champ right now.
He's the man.
Oh, he's an animal. He's an animal.
Remember that guy? He beat that guy with killing everybody.
Rico Verhoeven is making the most bold and most exciting prediction about what is going to happen at those pyramids in Giza. Rico says he is going to defeat Oleksandr Usyk and make sports history in front of the entire world. He says he is going to attack Usyk from angles that he has never seen before because Rico moves differently from any boxer Usyk has ever faced. Rico says he is not your typical boxer, and that difference will be the key to everything.
At the pyramids of Giza, me defeating Oleksandr Usyk and making sports history. I'm gonna attack him from angles that he hasn't seen before because I move different. I'm not like your typical boxer.
Carl Froch says when Oleksandr Usyk starts his ring walk, something happens that should make Rico Verhoeven genuinely terrified right now. Froch says Usyk has this stern and steely down-to-business warrior look in his eyes that you simply do not see with ordinary fighters. That look alone tells the whole story. This man is coming to completely destroy whoever is standing across from him, and Rico better be ready for the most frightening night of his entire combat sports career.
Oleksandr Usyk starts his ring walk and he just looks the business, doesn't he? He's just got this stern look in his face, the look in his eyes, that steely look, that down-to-business look. You don't see it with fighters that aren't at that top level or aren't confident like he's confident. He's just got a stern, solid, warrior-type look about him where...
Analyst steps forward and describes Rico Verhoeven in the most perfect and most terrifying way imaginable. He says Rico is killer or be killed and is completely wired and comes for absolute blood every single time he steps inside that ring. The analyst says people love Rico because they know he is ready to go out on his shield every single night. Rico has absolutely no quit in him and always goes to total war no matter what.
He's kill or be killed. That guy is just die on his shield. Reckless. He's wired different. Yeah, he comes for blood. And the thing is, what you were saying, Mike, people love you when you do your best, and that's why they love him. Like, they know that guy's ready to go out on his shield. He's no quit. He's going out on his shield. He goes to war.
The boxing world is asking the one question that nobody can truly answer right now. Who is going to stop Oleksandr Usyk? Analysts are comparing this version of Usyk to prime Holyfield at cruiserweight and saying Usyk is simply just different from every other fighter that exists in combat sports today. One analyst makes a fascinating point and says boxing used to be purely about skill, but now it is more about conditioning, and Usyk has both in absolutely terrifying quantities. The combination of his skill, his conditioning, and his tactical brilliance makes him almost completely impossible to stop for anyone.
Of everything is who's stopping this guy? Who is going to stop Oleksandr Usyk?
Prime Usyk at cruiserweight or prime Holyfield at cruiserweight?
Usyk is just different. The fighters are different now. It used to be like skill, now it's more about conditioning.
You think so?
Yeah.
Joe.
The boxing world is united on one thing about Rico Verhoeven. This man is an absolutely unbelievable athlete and a genuinely good and dangerous fighter that nobody should be taking lightly for even 1 single second. One analyst says Rico's size, his tools, his incredible attributes, and the whole presence he brings into a fight makes him a genuine nightmare to share a ring with for absolutely anyone. The analyst says this is a very tough fight with the potential to be a genuinely brilliant and utterly spectacular contest that the whole world will be talking about long after it is over.
Many a time, but what I've never ever not said is he's an unbelievable athlete and a good fighter and a very dangerous fighter and someone who would be a nightmare to be in the ring against, given his size, his tools, his attributes, just the whole presence of him. I think it's a very tough fight. I think it's a potential to be a brilliant fight.
Joe Rogan delivers the most terrifying warning about Oleksandr Usyk that Rico Verhoeven needs to hear and truly understand before he takes a single step into that ring at the Pyramids. Rogan says Usyk just needs to touch you once, and absolutely everything is going completely down with no way back. Rogan says Usyk is so completely different from everybody else in this division and in combat sports as a whole. He says everybody hits hard, and they all hit hard at this level, but Usyk hits hard, and there is an enormous and devastating difference between those two things that Rico Verhoeven is going to feel the very moment that first punch lands clean on fight night.
He just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But
that
shit
fucking
down.
dude hits hard.
Duke McKenzie steps forward and says something that every single person in the boxing world already knows deep down in their hearts. He says this fight genuinely interests him and says it interests absolutely everybody who loves combat sports at the highest level. Duke says these are still the two biggest names in their respective worlds of combat sports right now, and he does not care what anybody says about that fact. This is Oleksandr Usyk, the undisputed king of boxing, against Rico Verhoeven, the undisputed king of kickboxing. And when two kings from two different worlds collide at the Pyramids of Giza, the whole planet stops whatever it is doing and pays complete and total attention to every single second.
It's still a fight that interests you?
It's a fight that interests everybody, isn't it? Because it's still a massive fight. They are still the two biggest names in world boxing. I don't care what anybody says.
Tony Bellew delivers one of the most powerful and most honest predictions of this entire fight build-up and says something that cuts right through absolutely all the noise. Bellew admits that he once thought the size would be too much for Usyk against bigger opponents, but says ever since Usyk proved him completely wrong, he has never doubted this man again and says he never will. Bellew says there is simply nobody who is going to beat Usyk right now because technically and physically Usyk has reached a level that is almost completely impossible to compete with. Bellew says Usyk has adapted and adjusted his entire game, and has even adjusted his weight specifically for this fight against Rico, which shows a level of dedication and intelligence that very few fighters in the history of combat sports have ever truly demonstrated.
But the size would be too much. Ever since then, I never doubted him again. And I never will. There's no one who's going to beat him. I just think technically, physically now, he's at the weight and he's adapted and he's adjusted. I mean, he's even adjusted and adapted his weight for this fight individually. I mean, he put on how much weight and slowed his actual feet down because Daniel Dubois' feet were slow. So he changed the style once again. Against Fury, he adapted and he adjusted. He put front foot pressure for the first fight. The second fight, he held his ground.
Boxing pros are coming out and saying Rico Verhoeven is going to prove a lot of people completely wrong on fight night, and says far too many people are not giving this man the credit he truly deserves. They say win or lose Rico is absolutely invincible in terms of his ability to absorb punishment and keep coming forward with everything he has. They call him the Juggernaut for a very good reason, because every shot that comes his way he simply walks through and keeps marching forward. The analysts say the level of skill and the quality of punch-picking on display when Rico fights is at such a high level that people consistently underestimate just how dangerous and how capable this man truly is when the pressure is at its absolute maximum and everything is on the line.
I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. You know? A lot of people are not giving him the credit that I think he deserves, you know. Win or lose.
Invincible, and he can take every punch out there, and he's, you know, obviously they call him the Juggernaut.
Every shot that goes, either is it a slip, is it a counter, with such high level, such high skill, such good punch picking.
Usyk himself closes everything with the most serious and most powerful words of this entire fight build-up, and says something that sends genuine chills through every single person listening right now. He says this is a real fight and a genuinely dangerous situation, and he wants absolutely everyone to understand that. Usyk says for many people this is 50% show and 50% fight, but for him it is 100% fight, because he is completely and utterly serious in his training and his plan and his preparation for what is coming. Usyk says many people want the show, and that is no problem at all, but make absolutely no mistake about what is happening inside that ring at those pyramids, because when the bell rings, Usyk is not there to entertain or perform. He is there to destroy and dominate and prove once again to the entire world that he is simply the greatest combat sports athlete walking the face of this earth right now.
It's real fight. It's real fight. It's a dangerous guy. This is 50% show, 50% fight. But for me, it's 100% fight, because I very serious in the training, my plan. But many people wanna show. Okay, no problem.
What you have just witnessed is the entire boxing and combat sports world coming together to answer the one question that everybody wants answered before this historic and completely unmissable showdown at the Pyramids of Giza. Who will win between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven? And who will truly be crowned the champion of champions when these two kings from two completely different worlds finally collide in one of the most spectacular settings ever chosen for a combat sports event in the entire history of the sport? Eddie Hearn called Usyk the greatest fighter of this entire generation, who has beaten absolutely everyone put in front of him. Carl Froch talked about that steely warrior look in Usyk's eyes during his ring walk that you simply do not see in fighters who are not operating at the very highest level with complete confidence. Tony Bellew said he will never doubt Usyk again, and says there is simply nobody on this planet who is going to beat this man right now. Joe Rogan warned Rico that Usyk just needs to touch you once, and everything goes completely down, because Usyk does not just hit hard. He hits hard, and there is a genuinely devastating difference. Duke McKenzie reminded everyone that these are the two biggest names in their respective worlds, and when two kings collide, the whole planet stops and pays attention. But on the other side, Rico Verhoeven is making the most bold prediction of anyone, and says he is going to defeat Usyk and make sports history by attacking from angles that Usyk has never seen before. Mike Tyson himself called Rico an absolute animal, and said he is the champ and the man in his world. Kamaru Usman warned that the situation will be problematic for Rico, but refused to completely count him out. An analyst described Rico as killer or be killed. a man with absolutely no quit who goes to total war every single night and is ready to go out on his shield. The truth is that this fight at those magnificent pyramids is unlike anything combat sports has ever produced before, and when that first bell rings, absolutely everything that has been said and predicted and argued about will become completely and totally irrelevant, because only the action inside that ring will tell the real and final and honest truth about who truly deserves to be called the greatest combat sports champion on this entire planet right now.